What's going on, guys? This is Martyrs Brigade 99 coming to you once again with another session of Demon Souls commentary. Alright, guys, we're back at it once again for another session of Demon Souls PvP. Now, I received a pretty good suggestion from one of the persons who placed a comment in the comment section, and his suggestion was basically that perhaps I should do a Demon Souls Friday series, wherein every Friday, or at least once a week, I would upload Demon Souls footage. You know what, I thought about that. I said, you know what, I think that's a pretty good idea. Number one, because there's a lot of people who are interested in Demon Souls, you know, despite the game being, I don't know, almost 4 years old. And number two, with the game being, you know, kind of slow, it will take about a week of PvPing for me to put together some good footage. Now, what do I mean by slow? You know, I've been playing this game probably for about 2 weeks. And during these 2 weeks, you know, because the game is, like I said before, almost 4 years old, PvP is not as popular as it is on Dark Souls, right? So, one of the things that I'm trying to figure out is what is the best level for me to PvP. Now, to the extent that you guys are familiar with the channel, you guys would know that last week I uploaded one video of Demon Souls footage titled Don't Forget Where You Came From. And in that video I was basically using a character that was around 100 to 115, and actually I had a decent number of invasions. Well, you know, I figured I could use that same build and continue on with the luck that I had from the previous video. Well, guess what, guys? I did not have the same experiences I did in those previous experiences. So what I decided to do was, I said to myself I would just go ahead and create lower level builds. I'll probably try to go down by either 10s or 25s, and wherever I can find the most PvP, that will be the soul level that I basically stay at, if I'm, to the extent that I'm going to continue this series. Right, so this build right here, I think this is another 115. But later on, you guys are going to notice that I'll be using a different build, and that build would be somewhere, I think it's either, actually, it's a level 70 build, 70 to 75. I think it's like 72. But I know it's somewhere between 70 and 75. Now, you know, in the event that you guys may not be aware, I am playing the North American version. I'm not really sure of how much PvP action is experienced by the European version or any other version, but this is the North American version. And you know, some days I have good days, you know, sometimes I have good days, sometimes I have bad days. So it just, I think it just kind of depends on, you know, the day that I'm playing and perhaps the time of the day. Because, you know, perhaps in some cases it's more busy in the evenings, perhaps when people are out of school or after work, and in other occasions I get a lot of invasions in the daytime. So I mean, there's so many factors in there that I really don't know when is the best time or what is the right levels, but I'm doing whatever I can to try to narrow this thing down. And you know, in the event that some of you Demon Souls vets want to kind of get on and enjoy some invasions, I'll basically let you know what's the best level based upon my experience. So if you guys kind of want to get on and get some invasions, hopefully you guys can have at least the same amount of luck as I have with my invasions. And actually, this is another level. I think it's like a 110 or 115 build. I haven't gone up to 120 or 125 or anything like that. I mean, because I wasn't really doing anything fancy. This build is basically just a, it's like a 30-40 build. I think I have like 40 vitality, 30 strength, and like 40 endurance or something like that. I can't really remember, but I know the soul level is somewhere around 110 to 115. Alright, so there's a few things that I kind of wanted to talk about. Now, like I said before, as we kind of discussed and touched on last week, There are a lot of Dark Demon Souls vets out there. Okay, now before I get off into that, let's see, here's another reason why I really think that despite what popular opinion may be, Dark Souls is a vast improvement over Demon Souls. And here's why. If you guys notice, the person who's using the Blue Blood Sword, I mean, these guys are getting away with murder with these spamming R1 attacks. You know what I'm saying? I mean, see, the way I see it, it really requires no effort to wield a fast swinging weapon and just basically spam R1 and get away with murder. And here's one of the biggest reasons why I personally prefer Dark Souls over Demon Souls. See, in Dark Souls, that crap would have been punished because he's not even really doing anything. But the fact that there is no poise, unless you parry the first hit, I mean, with those fast swinging weapons, you're almost screwed. As a matter of fact, it's almost the same as someone using a Chaos Blade against a build with no poise. Because at the end of the day, all they have to do is just sit there and spam their attacks. They don't have to time anything. They don't have to do anything because they know that you're going to get stun locked for the most part. And here's another reason why I think that poise was a wonderful and practical addition to Dark Souls. And I'm glad they brought that addition, and I hope they continue that on into Dark Souls 2. Because, a lot of the, some of these matches where I'm losing, I'm sitting there like, what, if this was Dark Souls, that guy would have been parried by the second hit. Because when these guys who basically focus on the spamming R1 attacks, there's no punishment to it. There's really no punishment to it because you get stunned every hit. And in some cases, you can't even toggle escape because even if you're able to toggle, because the weapon swings so fast, while you're going backwards in the middle of your toggle, you might get hit again. I mean, just like I said before, just liken this situation to someone using a Chaos Blade and you're trying to toggle out of a R1 spam of a Chaos Blade. Now, they may hit you, they may stun you, you may temporarily toggle out, but because the weapon swings so fast, you're basically screwed with any additional swings. So, a lot of people have their own personal taste. I know a lot of people, they prefer to not have poise. Hey, I mean, that's just a personal choice. But guys like this, I would have destroyed this guy on Dark Souls because there's absolutely no punishment. And you guys are going to notice, I can't remember if it's this match or a previous match where I even attempt to toggle out. But because the Blue Blood Sword swings so fast, toggling doesn't really... See, look at this. You can't really do anything about it. Other than perhaps hold the shield up. And you can try to parry, but you'll be punished because if you parry and you miss, I mean, that guy with that buff Blue Blood Sword, he's just going to destroy you for the most part. Okay, so, a couple things I wanted to talk about. So enough about that. You guys notice that? Now that was a quick toggle. And luckily for me, it looks like he ran out of stamina. Which is why... See, that's all he's doing. He's not even really doing anything special. All he's doing is running up to me and R1 spamming. And I think with the introduction of Dark Souls, a lot of people thought they can get away with that mess until they found out that, hold on, there's a new dynamic. You guys notice? I tried to toggle, and actually I did. But while going back after the toggle, because the weapon swings so fast, he was able to inflict damage, and therefore I died. Alright, so enough ranting about that ridiculous no poise and R1 spamming. Alright, so back to what I was saying. There's a lot of vets out there, and a lot of these vets have opinions that are respected by a lot of people. Which, I mean, there's no problem. I don't have a problem with that. But see, the thing is, I am totally confused with regard to a lot of these guys and their views. And the first point that I want to talk about is buffing weapons. Now, I was having a series of matches with, and As a matter of fact, I think we had like a series of 10 matches. I think it was like 10. You know, he kind of messaged me. He's like, actually, he messaged me in the comment section. He's like, hey, dude, you know, I see you on Demon Souls. You want to have a series of matches. So I'm like, okay, no problem. You know, what are the rules? So naturally, he's like, well, no pole arms. So I'm like, no pole arms. Okay, no problem, no pole arms. So basically, I think I was using like a knight sword and maybe something else. So this pro, you know, big time veteran, you know, big time Demon Souls vet, pulls out a, I think it's like called a Dragon Bone Smasher or something like that. Okay, that's a nice parry. Now, anyone who's experienced with Demon Souls would know that that weapon can be OP. And actually, I was good with the fact that he used the weapon. But on top of that, this guy pulls out the cursed weapon, which is basically the equivalent in Demon Souls to, you know, oh, and actually, shout out to Ripsome1. He's, man, actually, if you guys ever want to know some good information on the Gravelord Covenant, this guy has done a lot of research on the Gravelord Covenant. Right, I believe his YouTube name is like A10005 or something like that. So, you know, I'm having this series of matches, and actually, here's a perfect demonstration of how dangerous the cursed weapon buff can be. So I'm in this series of 10 matches. He pulls out the Dragon Bone Smasher, and he uses, you know, cursed weapon. Now I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, now you have full vitality. And the only bonus, now you guys notice that? 3 hits. It's like 2 or 3 hits. That's Cursed Weapon. As a matter of fact, Cursed Weapon is the Demon Souls equivalent to Dark Moon Blade plus 3 in Dark Souls. So it's basically the same thing. So anyway, like I was saying, we're going through this series of 10. And this guy basically just kept two-shotting me over and over again. So I'm thinking to myself, like, now this is one of the big-time vets. You know, one of these big-time experience, you know, I'm a hot shot. I'm one of the greatest in Demon Souls. And he has no problem with using Cursed Weapon on a Dragon Bone Smasher. But see, if you were to have a series of matches in Dark Souls, the first thing they would say is, dude, I mean, we're not playing against buffs. You know, we're not playing with buffs because buffs are OP. Well, how come buffs are not OP? Case in point. Now, this is not the person I was talking about, but this is basically the weapon, and he's using Cursed Weapon. So it's kind of like, why is it that buffs were okay in Demon Souls, but in Dark Souls, it's totally different? Now, me personally, my opinion is the same. If it were left to me, buffs would be left for random invasions. And the reason why I personally say that, you know, because for some strange reason, people feel like they can attack opinions. Listen, dude, you can't attack opinions. My opinion is my opinion. If you have a different opinion, then your opinion is different. And hey, we can agree to disagree. But the reason why I personally disagree with buffs during formal matches is because the way I see it, formal matches are designed to help you to improve on your tactics. You know, it's kind of designed for you to get better. You know, it's not designed for you to hurry up, get in there and 1 or 2 shot kill. The goal is not to farm humanity or to get souls. The goal in formal matches is to be a little more competitive and to get better for the most part. That's how I personally see it. And that's why in a lot of my 1v1 matches, for which I have plenty of footage, you guys, pretty sure you guys can attest to it. And a lot of 1v matches, I reserve myself on the backstabs, and 99 times out of 10, I mean 99 times out of 100, see, here's another perfect example. I would have killed that guy if this was Dark Souls, but you can't do anything with no poise, especially against a fast swinging weapon. But like I said before, 99 times out of 100, I don't use buffs in formal matches. Now, I do have a Crystal Magic Lioness build, for which I did that video just to showcase a build. But if I was doing formal setup matches where I'm trying to improve my tactics, I'm trying to get better at the game's mechanics, I mean, how am I really getting better if I'm using tactics that are basically one or two shot kill people? I don't look at it that way. I know a lot of you guys, have different opinions, and I'm good with that. But the way I see it, one and two shot tactics should be reserved for random invasions. So, it's amazing that some of these pros are fine with using buffs, especially when you're a host. Because in Demon Souls, as a host, you guys have 100% of your vitality. And the only time that an invader will get a slight bonus, because actually, as you guys can see, I only have like 75% of my vitality, and that's with using a cling ring. The only time I really get a bonus is if I'm using a foe's ring, which only boosts your damage by 20%. So I'm basically stuck with two rings for the most part. I know there's a lot of different ring combinations, but I'm basically stuck with two rings, and that's another reason why I might use sticky white stuff, because I'm dealing with a person with full vitality. I'm at 75%, and in some cases I'm not even using the foe's ring, right? Because the vast majority of the time I'm using like I'm kind of using like a cling ring or something. So, for a lot of you vets that are out there and you're fine with using curse weapon and light weapon, especially when you're a host, please explain that to me, because I'm totally confused as to why some of you guys are okay with cursed weapon, especially in formal matches in Demon Souls, but you guys hate buffs in Dark Souls. And like I said before, I already stated my position on buffs. I don't agree with buffs either, but see, because the game is different with respect to vitality, if you're an invader, you need a little bonus. You're not even dealing with 100% of your vitality, whereas the host is. And like I said before, unless you're using a foe's ring, I mean, you're not really doing anything for the most part. So that's the first thing. So for a lot of you vets out there, just go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section. I would love to read you guys' views on that. Alright, now the second thing I'm kind of confused about is the issue with pole arms. Now, what exactly do I mean by pole arms? I mean like your Merton hammer, your halberds, and similar weapons. Now, a lot of these same vets will basically call you a noob if you're using a pole arm. Why? I don't really know, because pole arms are really easy to punish, in my personal opinion. They're really, as a matter of fact, they're so easy to punish. And actually, when I say easy, I'm not saying that 100% of the times you'll be able to punish it. But what I'm saying is pole arms is not really as bad as you may perceive them to be, especially if you get your timings right. And just to demonstrate that, because one thing about me, like I've said plenty of times in the past, if I say something, I'm able to back it up by a demonstration. I don't just pop off with opinions without at least showing you guys that I know how to do what I'm suggesting that everyone else should do. So I think the last two matches of this clip, the first match I'm going to lose to a pole arm, and I think is either a Merton hammer or a halberd. I can't really remember. As a matter of fact, Speak of the Devil is the next match. And in the last clip, I'm going to show you the best way to deal with pole arms. So why the pros, have such a problem with pole arms, I don't really know, because for the most part, you're just limited to a certain set of weapons, number one. And number two, like I've said in Dark Souls, if you never put yourself in a situation wherein you are forced to face these pole arms, you'll never know how to defend against them. And this is one of the reasons, and here's a pole arm right here. As a matter of fact, this is a halberd. And you guys are going to notice the moveset. A lot of people have a problem with that. Now you guys notice, okay, I got stunned. But I get stunned by a lot of weapons. There's no poison in this game. But this next invasion, as a matter of fact, I think I parried this guy probably about 3 or 4 times. I think 3 times. You guys are going to notice. Because at the end of the day, the best way to deal with these pole arms is to learn the timing. Same thing with Dark Souls. It's the same thing I'll argue with Demon Souls. Now, the only time when timing does not help you in Demon Souls, in my personal opinion, is with the fast swinging weapons. Because unless you are parrying the first hit, you are basically screwed. So watch this. He's getting ready to two-hand it. Here we go. And this is what a lot of people have a problem with in Demon Souls. But guess what, guys? It's cake. Just learn the timings. You can stop these clowns. So why some of you pros, you vets, you Demon Souls lore, and actually, I know I'm saying this sarcastically, but that's just for the purposes of the commentary. I'm not saying it like I have anything against you guys, so, I mean, don't get all offended and start giving me like 30 thumbs down. I'm just talking, right? We're all guys. You guys should be able to deal with it. But like I'm saying, why a lot of you vets have problems with pole arms, I don't know. Why is it called a noob stick? I don't know. I really don't, because you can deal with these pole arms the same way you can deal with a lot of these other weapons. As a matter of fact, here he goes again. Okay, he didn't do it right there. I think it's the next time he's going to try to go ahead and spam the R1 with his pole arm. But this time he's going to do one-handed. But guess what? I can parry that, dude. I can parry that. Alright, so that's 2 questions that I would really love for a lot of you. There's a third parry, but I missed it. So that's 2 questions that I would love to hear a lot of you seasoned Demon Souls players address. Because like I said before, with regard to the buffs, I'm totally confused, especially if you're a host. And with regard to the pole arms, not only am I talking in support of them, I'm demonstrating that pole arms are not really as bad. As a matter of fact, there's another parry. Alright guys, so until next time, I'll definitely be reading for your guys' responses. Until next time, Artist Brigade.